So what happens when we can't factor a parabola? So we look at it and we can't do our bridge and tunnels, we can't do greatest common factor, we can't do a difference of two perfect squares, we can't do anything. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No, it does. We're just going to start looking at the more complicated versions of parabolas. OMG, you must be saying, oh no, when is this going to end? But this is actually kind of cool. So let's start looking at it. All right, so we have a parabola here, and I'm going to start you off on one that actually does factor. So if I were to look at this and I were to factor it, two numbers that multiply together to get me 8, but add up to a negative 6. That would be x minus 4 and x minus 2. All right, so far so good. Now if I line up all my information, I know my x-intercepts are 4 and 2. All right, my y-intercept is when I put 0 in for x, and we all know the shortcut now. The shortcut is we just look at the c value, so my y-intercept is 8. And my axis of symmetry, well, let's get my axis of symmetry from a visual. All right, so if my x-intercepts are 4 and 2, oh, look at that pretty axis of symmetry right down the middle. My axis of symmetry is x equals 3. So I know my vertex has got to have a 3, and then we don't know what the y value is. So let me just keep going here. All this should be a review. Where's my line? Yep, let's use a dotted line. So there is my axis of symmetry. So I know somewhere along that dotted line is my turning point. My y-intercept is 8. So if I took the mirror image of my y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we're looking good. All right, I'm going to put 3 into this equation so I can figure out my y value of my vertex. All right, 9 minus 18 plus 8. 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus 8. So my y value must have been negative 1. 3, negative 1. All right, so when I finally go to draw my lovely parabola, it would look like this. All right, that was all well and good, but let's look at it as completing the square. So I'm going to clean all this up. And I'm just going to realign here. And I'm going to do this by completing the square. X squared minus 6x equals, and remember we take the 8 and we put it in the closet. We put it over on the other side for a while because we don't want to deal with it. I take half, so that's negative 3, and I square it to get 9. And then I add it to both sides. And again, when you get more adept and fluid at this, this will go a lot faster. All right, so when I rewrite this side over here as a perfect square, it's x minus 3 squared equals 1. And when I pull that over here, I get x minus 3 squared minus 1 equals 0. Hey, look, you know what we have? We have a baby parabola. Let's just give a mama parabola over here for a minute. So let me set up a mama parabola. That's as good as I can get a mama parabola real quick. So this baby has a vertex at 3, because we go in the horizontal direction, and then a vertical shift of -1, just like we said. 1, 2, 3, down 1. So what we could do is we could be graphing that way also. And you may be thinking, well, how do you graph that way? Well, let's do another one, but let's do it completing the square. All right, we're going to try and graph this parabola. Now, most of you are thinking, oh, it factors. X minus 9, x plus 1. Not quite. A -9 and a +1 get you a -9 when I multiply. Sure, when I add them together, I get my -8, but guess what? This doesn't factor. So that's what the point of this lesson is. So we're not going to be able to use our factoring to graph this, but we are going to use our completing the square. All right, so x squared minus 8x equals -9. I'm going to throw the 9 in the closet for a while so I don't have to deal with it. X squared minus 8x. I'm going to take half of -8, which is -4, square it, and get 16. There's my little thinking bubble. So now I know I have to take that 16 and add it to both sides. All right, so when I clean up this side, writing it as a perfect square, I know it's x minus 4 squared equals -9 plus 16 is 7. When I rewrite this, I get x minus 4 squared minus 7 equals, we can say 0, or we can say that's our new function. So if I want to graph this now, I have some key things. I've got my vertex because it's hidden right here. It was a horrible horizontal shift, so it's a baby who didn't listen to mama. Instead of -4, it's +4. And then we have a vertical shift of -7. So now I get my vertex right away. So I'm going to take my point over here, and I'm going to drag it down to 4, -7. Okay, there's my vertex. Not only is that my vertex, that's my axis of symmetry. X equals 4. Now, for my y-intercept, I know my shortcut. I just put 0 in for my x's, and I know my shortcut is, my y-intercept is 9. So I can come over here right now, drag that there. But my x-intercepts maybe won't come out so prettily. But how can I get the rest of this parabola? Well, now I can turn to a chart. So I'm going to clean this up. And what I can do is just start inserting x values. And I'm going to put right here in the middle, I know my turning point is 4, -7. 3 and 5, right? Because I'm going to graph the points along the lines 3 and 5, where x equals 3 and 5. All right, so if I put a 3 in here, 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 24 plus 9. Well, look at that. 9 and 9 is 18. 18 minus 24 is -6. So when I put a 5 in there, my answer is -6. Therefore, if I put a 3 in there, my answer is -6. And now, if I know that my line of symmetry is right here, I can also do a mirror image on my y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take this and put it 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at that. I'm starting to get my parabola. Now, I'm not going to really talk about my x-intercepts today. That's upcoming because the x-intercepts are really ugly. They're not pretty. But at least today we can graph and get a picture of this parabola. And if we wanted to keep going, we could go to 2 and 6. If I put 2 in here, I get 4 minus 16 plus 9. Let's see, 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 minus 16 is negative 3. So when I put a 2 in here, I get negative 3, which means it's mirror image. If I put a 6 in there, I'd get negative 3. And that's more than enough now if I wanted to draw my parabola, I could. And if you notice, even in my quick drawing, that it's going to cross at weird spots. And we're going to talk about that in the next lesson. All right, last one real quick. Can we factor this? No, we can't factor this. We can't think of two numbers that multiply together to 15 that add up to 10. So we have to do completing the square. And hopefully by now you can complete the square really quickly. Move the constant over to the closet, hold it for a minute, take half of 10, which is 5, square it, which is 25. So over here I have x squared plus 10x, and then I add that 25 to both sides so I can make a perfect square and balance my equation. I rewrite this quadratic over here as a perfectly squared binomial. Add that together and I get 10. All right, so now I have some information of what my parabola looks like. I know its vertex, horrible horizontal, we take the opposite. Very nice vertical, we take the same. So my vertex is negative 5, negative 10. My axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5. So I know along here I'm going to have all my mirror images of my points. My y-intercept is really easy. That would cross off, that would cross off. My y-intercept is 15. All right, so let's see where my y-intercept would go. 15, notice my scale, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. There's my y-intercept right there. So now I'm going to do my mirror image. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my mirror image. So I know my parabola is starting to take shape, but I don't know my x-intercepts because it doesn't factor very prettily. So I'm just going to give myself a quick chart, all revolving around my turning point. Negative 5, negative 10. Do I have to put in the numbers right after it? No, I can make my life easy. I can put in negative 1. All right, when I put in a negative 1 here, negative 1 squared is 1 minus 10 plus 15. 1 and 15 is 16. 16 minus 10 is 6. So when I put a negative 1 in, my answer is 6. So it's mirror image 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my mirror image. So let's see, that was a negative 9 that got me a 6. Do I have enough points now to make a parabola? Absolutely. So now I can just connect my points, and there is the graph of my parabola. And again, we'll learn about those x-intercepts starting tomorrow. Bye.